All right, so welcome to the new Bainbridge SmartModel. It's version 2.1. We think we've made a ton of huge improvements in this model designed to help e-commerce founders and operators like yourself really understand their business, improve their business, and achieve their goals from a financial perspective. A couple of things just to highlight for you as we go through. Again, this is a complete financial solution. So we've got an Excel model here, and then the Bainbridge Excel add-in, which is going to connect you to your live data and allow you to do a whole bunch of different things with the smart model. The first thing I want to show you is something that is going to make the Bainbridge Smart Model really easy to use. Working with any model, even the Bainbridge Smart Model, can be confusing and overwhelming at first. One of the things that we wanted to do was make it super easy to get up and running. So we've built this really nifty getting started guide to help you walk through. So inside of the Bainbridge add-in, we're going to click the Get Started button. And then this is just going to take us through a wizard flow where we're able to guide you through what needs to be done. So if we click on any of these blue links, it's going to take you to exactly the right cell that you need to fill in order to complete the model and get everything up and running. This is going to be a huge improvement in terms of your ability to both use the model on a day-to-day basis and to get things up and running if you're resetting or rolling forward to the next month. So excited about that. Can't wait to hear what you think. I want to show everyone the new 3-year planning view, which has really gotten a lot more interesting and a lot more easy to understand. We've got sections here for your 3-year forward plan representing everything from gross sales and net revenue down to the key operating metrics that are needed to get there. So things like total orders, total customers, customer mix. We've got detail on gross margin, contribution margin over time. This company, we can see this plan calls for them to bring their contribution margin down a little bit, but actually bring their gross profit margin up as they scale. Some really good info on marketing as we look at how much do we need to spend on ads, how much are we going to spend on total marketing, EBIT and net income, and then giving us some additional information on cash and capital so that we can see what does our ending cash balance look like. In this case, it's quite healthy. And what are the major consumers of cash? So how much are we spending on inventory and ad buys and things like that? As always, you can always just see this in a more standard financial layout. The next thing I want to show you is the new edit drivers feature. So sometimes you're on a view like your 3-year plan view and you want to change an assumption in your model. Now, one way we can do this is go back to our key drivers tab and fill out the entire grid of drivers. So we have access to all the detail we could possibly want, but lots of times we're just trying to get a quick sense of what happens if we change a key number. So what we've built is the ability to actually edit these drivers directly from the panel without having to go back to your drivers tab. We're looking at a company in this demo, they're doing about 82% growth next year, then down to 29 and then 16 year over year. So let's say that we wanted to change that a little bit and give them a higher growth trajectory. So instead of those numbers, let's say we want to look at what a double looks like starting in April of this year, and then another double, and then maybe we slow down to call it 75% growth the year after that. So this is going to be a really aggressive plan, but let's just see what the numbers look like. So the model is actually going to go and flow all the numbers all the way back through the model. We can see the numbers ticking up. And we've created a much different business for ourselves, going from 9 million ramping to about 70 million over 3 years in this scenario. So we've got drivers in here for revenue growth, CAC, AOV, both from new customers and returning customers, as well as essentially gross margin improvement. So the ability to change your COGS mix. Lots more drivers coming in here soon, but starting with these for now to give you a sense of how easy it is to change the outcome of your plan. So that is the edit drivers feature. So let's say we've got our model to a good spot. We've tuned all our drivers. We're very happy with what the outcomes look like. We think it's achievable. And we want to actually memorialize this scenario. Typically what we do is save our Excel workbook, maybe drop that in a shared drive, and we're iterating it over and over again. But we've got version control issues, we've got naming issues, and it's just generally hard to understand where we are. In Bainbridge, the way we can do that is actually to save a scenario. So let's say I wanted to call this my super aggressive plan. I can say this has 100% growth for the next 2 years. So I'm going to go ahead and save this scenario, and what's happening is that we are actually going to create a carbon copy of that plan, including all of your inputs. That's going to get saved to the cloud, and that allows you to come back to this scenario at any time see what it looked like, and then also to compare it to other scenarios. So super useful feature for managing all kinds of different plans, everything from the pie in the sky, what happens if we did this, down to really dialing in our annual plan for the next 12 months that we can track against it on a monthly basis and see how we're doing to improve our business. Okay, so now that we've made a couple of different scenarios, we've got a base case, we've got an aggressive case, we've got a super aggressive case, and I can see these scenarios over here in my view scenarios layout. It's going to give me some quick information like gross sales and net income so that I can see the difference at a glance, but maybe we want to do a little bit more in-depth analysis. So this is where the compare scenarios feature comes in. So what I'm going to do is actually flip over to my scenario comparison view, and I'll hide the add-in for a minute. So here we've got a view that lets us evaluate how different scenarios compare to each other. So right now I've got both my slots loaded up for the 2021 base case, but let's compare the base case against the super aggressive plan that we just made. We can see how they differ on some key metrics. So we're looking at net revenue. Our aggressive plan is going to have some higher peaks, but stay the same in the off season. Huge change in EBIT margins here. Our super aggressive plan, after spiking down, really starts to tick up after a couple of months. And then our cash goes through the roof here on the aggressive plan. Going after some intense growth is actually looking like it could be achievable for this business. If we wanted to, say, see something other than cash, maybe we wanted to see a different metric in that graph, we can come down here and say, okay, what's going to happen to our net cash flow from operating activities? And we can go ahead and see that metric up here instead. Another thing this view is really helpful with is showing us plan versus our actual performance. So instead of selecting a forecast scenario, I'm actually going to select our actuals here. And we can see that our 2021 base case here in the blue, and we've got a couple of months of actuals in here loaded up through April. So far, we're tracking reasonably well to plan. Obviously, a little bit of a dip here in net cash provided by operations. And this is going to allow us to really get that monthly cadence of saying, okay, here was our plan. What were we hoping to do? What did we actually do? What was the variance? And then how can we set ourselves up to minimize that gap in the next period? So that's the scenario comparison feature. One thing that we know is always on the minds of our founders and our customers is capital. How am I going to find it? How am I going to raise it? How much does it cost? How should I think about it? And so we've tried to take some first steps there to really help you understand not only what capital might work for your business, but how much it costs. This is our new capital schedule. Basically what we've built is the ability for you to quickly simulate almost any type of e-commerce capital that you can think of. So you can see here we've pre-populated options for ClearBank, an asset-backed line of credit, and we could grab something else like equity and plug that in. So what we're enabling you to do is fill in exactly the terms that you need. Then if we turn these on, it's actually going to flow all the way through the model so that we can see what the cost of capital would be if we raise, say, $1 million worth of equity. In each case, there's the inputs that are needed in order to model an exact type of capital. And we can see that it's actually going to spit out in real time a cost of capital comparison for different types of capital that are using the real forecast of our business. So super important for things like equity and for things like ClearBank, merchant cash advance, or other revenue-based financing options. Very hard to evaluate those without understanding what the revenue picture looks like. And so that's all built in now, and you can quickly and easily see these capital comparisons against your real numbers. So hopefully you guys find value in this. Again, we'd love to hear what you think.